Gaming and BS, episode 234, being recorded March 18th, 2019. Welcome to Gaming and BS, tabletop RPG podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Hope you're all feeling way better than I am.
Brett's in a pissy mood.
I'm just physically sick.
Pissy mood and sick.
I'm sick of being sick.
That I can completely relate to.
That's the thing that gets you.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
being
when you're sick for a couple days, you God, this blows, man. It'll go away, though.
Yeah.
Day 5, you're like, this is my life now.
So Brett and I made out at Gary Con, and this is the result.
I mean, there wasn't even a lot of making out. It was just like barely. It wasn't even that much.
Yeah, it was just
rude.
Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah, wasn't even didn't even go the limit.
I know.
Yeah, the thing is you take off a couple days of work and you're like, okay, well, I'll get some rest. And then you don't feel like oh, I could probably read a book or something, or, I don't know, do something that's relaxing. You don't even feel like doing any of that shit either.
No, I slept a lot this last weekend. There was supposed to be a shit ton of cool stuff going on this weekend. It was my wife's birthday and St. Patrick's Day, and so we toughed it out. She's still coming down from whatever she picked up at Gary Con.
Oh, she got it there too?
Oh yeah, she got hit harder first. She was like brutally out, and she normally has like mommy immune system where, children bring home the Black Death. And she's like, shrug that shit off. What's that, cancer? Fuck that. And just walks away from it, But yeah, this took her down. And
it's all those different strains everybody brings in off the plane.
Yeah, so my fear was this would hit me. And when this hits me, I get this type of sick. My voice sounds like I smoke Marlboros and break the filters off. And then I pick up the hacking cough, which is great because it feels like I pulled all the muscles in my chest and back and broken blood vessels in my eyes the last couple of days from coughing so hard, racking my poor frame. It's very painful. But anyway, enough about my pathetic illness.
Yeah, that's all we're talking about recently is just the virus.
The virus, yes.
The virus that's going around.
And that this is how this is our intro, because eventually, folks, this will turn into Brett and Sean how to survive the zombie apocalypse. Because this was the start, right? This is a vector thing. This is Sean and Brett fighting off the first bits of the virus. After this, we'll give you guys hints and tips on how to survive. Anyway, Sean, let's talk about something much more fun. Announcements. Awesome Dice still going down? We still got that?
Yeah, awesomedice.com. If you go to awesomedice.com and put in an order and use the promo code GamingBS, as long as you place an order $10 or more, you'll get 15% off using that promo code. If you'd like to enter a draw ring to win a set of Awesome Dice, go to gamingandbs.com, enter your email on our homepage of our website, and you'll be automatically be entered to win a drawing at the end of the month for a free set of dice.
Cool. I should probably get a hold of Brandon over at Awesome Dice, because EverCon, our 20th anniversary is this next year, and I've got a hankering for some special dice, so
yeah,
to give out to certain people and so on. So
there you go.
Might have to do that. All right. So, other than the Awesome Dice thing is still rolling, I'm sick. You're feeling better.
I'm feeling like a champ.
I know you are. You sound good. You look good, Sean. You look good.
Oh, thanks.
We should mention, just as at the top so we don't forget, but Larry DiTilio has passed away.
Yep.
And I will admit I had no idea who the hell that was. I'm like,
Oh, I didn't know either. Well, I did, ironically enough.
Because of your recent involvement.
It was weird.
Oh, my God. This is the guy who wrote Massive Nyarlathotep.
Yeah.
So what's happened is, and we'll talk about this spoiler later in the show, but Sean has picked up Call of Cthulhu, and now a Call of Cthulhu adventure writer has passed away. I don't know where to place the blame, but I've got an idea where to start. Anyway,
it is oddly coincidental.
Oddly coincidental.
And
jokes aside, though, that it sucks because Larry was not an old gentleman. I have played through, not through, I have died partway into that adventure twice. And it's a hell of a good game. It's a hell of a good adventure. It's considered by many to be the best of all RPG campaigns ever written. I've heard that from the lips of more than one person. So pretty cool stuff. And our condolences to Larry, his friends and family, and those who knew him, obviously way better than Sean and I. It sucks to lose somebody so talented. So, all right, then. Let's move on. Boy, we had Brett's sick. A talented RPG writer dies. At least we're giving away dice. You know what? Let's random encounter it up, man. Let's do that.
All right. The encounter that is random.
This one seems
Is
short.
anything really random? Maybe it should be
Bananas.
Destiny.
That felt random.
Destiny encounter.
Could be Destiny. Bananas. See, I said bananas twice. That's kind of random. That's
Well,
awkward.
I don't know.
That's awkward.
Not in this dimension.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I'll read this one. Email from Judge Brandon. Hello. I recently started listening to the podcast. I came for the DCC, but stayed for the BS and wanted to answer your question about actual play recordings. I'm not a huge fan of actual play, but I keep trying to get into it. One example that I actually do like is the episode of Tuesday Night Podcast about the game Mothership. First of all, the audio quality has to be excellent for me to listen to actual play, and this example has great recording and even has music that sets the mood. Most of the gameplay sounds like an audio drama, but they interrupt with the voiceover to explain rules or what is actually happening when the players wouldn't know what is happening. I like this mashup of styles, and it doesn't ruin the flow like most rules explaining does. Thanks for the podcast, especially the DCC stuff. And I'd love to hear some actual play of the Streets of Avalon.
Wow.
Dude, you can download that shit.
Apparently, Judge Brandon is not aware of the...
Yeah, Wednesday Evening Podcast All-Stars. You go to Misdirected Mark. I'll put a link in the show notes for you in case you need that. But yeah, Brandon, if you want to, there is a Streets of Avalon actual play out there right now that you could download. So
With Brett as the game master.
Exactly. And I don't sound quite so shitty in it. So but
right.
I'll put a link down there
Well,
for you.
he doesn't sound with the raspy voice shitty.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, man, it's to get the spirit up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I can't punch you back because I'm so sick right now. All right, your turn.
Comment from Crim Fan on the websites. Zones are used in a lot of games. Realistically speaking, D&D ran that way for a long time, given that many people weren't using minis, a.k.a. theater of the mind, a pretentious term if I ever heard one. Wow, there's a lot of pretentious terms in role-playing games.
You know what's interesting is that I've never thought of it as pretentious. It's one of those terms I know people argue they hate NPC, they think it should be something else or whatever. I think it's one of those terms that I don't know where it came from, but I think we're stuck with it now.
What else would there be? Like no miniatures.
I don't know. Sans minis.
Sans minis.
The miniless.
Yeah, that isn't pretentious.
I'm running Sans minis.
Sans minis. Hello, Buffet.
Exactly.
Well, are you running that Sans minis? I am indeed.
We could totally make this worse. Anyway, Curb Fan, now that you mention it is kind of a pretentious term, but I think we're stuck with it, man. Anyway, carry on.
You weren't using minis and thus weren't tracking clear ranges. The Modifius games, Conan, is it Conan or Conan?
Conan.
I'll let you be the judge.
I don't know. It depends who you want to talk to.
I don't know. Robert E. Howard's not here to clarify.
Another one died too soon. Anyway, carry on.
Too soon. All right. Modifius games, Conan and Star Trek Adventures both use zones. There are a lot of other ones. So, GMs as players, I do think there's something really good about the players not knowing tons about the rules, as there's nothing like genuine surprise. That said, I have mostly run for groups where many or even all of the players have been GMs. This can be good because you have to have... God, I cannot read tonight. This can be good because you have to up your game, which can, in turn, really improve your GMing. In my view, having previously GM'd primarily exacerbates bad player tendencies that can exist in someone who's never run. This is true in many areas of life. Doctors are the toughest patients. Teachers are the worst students. Musicians and actors are the harshest audience. Shoeman's kids go...
Cobbler's kids. Cobbler's children.
Shoe repairman's shoes
are the worst. That's because he's tired of doing the work for everybody else and doesn't want to do it for himself. This is a different problem.
The shoe man, repair.
Yeah, it's the shoe man group. It's much like the blue man group when they throw shoes. How about we just try to stick to the text here? Let's go. It's the problems that emerge.
We're on borrowed time with Brett. Anytime he's just going to roll over and
snap.
Because the end will be, well, that's the end of Gaming BS. Anyways, well, at least the end of B. Hey. All right.
Sounds like I got replacements.
I know. I'm like, hey, taking auditions tomorrow. The problems that emerge are ones that can emerge for someone who's never run before, but a person whose GM has a lot more gaming experience, potential system mastery, and a perspective of having been there before, and thus the ability to make comparisons, sometimes ones that are in fact detrimental or may well be threatening in that person's self-image. For instance, thinking, wow, this person is so much better than me at running combats and handling dialogue, coming up with cool encounters, can take the player who GMs down a peg, whereas a person who doesn't GM at all probably won't even think about that point. Different variations of meta thinking are a huge issue, which you guys focused on. I think one really needs to shift strategy when you're running for a group that has many prior GMs, being careful not to overuse too many tropes and cliche. The player needs to stop referencing their inner monster manual, though. It can be tough to surprise the players, especially with things like bog standard monsters or traps. Fighting with plot hooks and or constantly wandering off isn't just a GM as player problem. I've played with some folks who just can't seem to get past that. You guys didn't talk too much about the issue of backseat GMing, but I've encountered that too. The kind of currently playing GM who is just trying to help, for instance, or undermines the game in other ways, for instance, by pulling out new games during the middle of the existing campaign. With great-ish power comes a fairly basic responsibility, the responsibility not to be a dick. Oh, and I'm still thinking of how to do a chase mechanic.
Very cool. Yeah, backseat GMing, we kind of hinted at, I think, when we talked about rules lawyering, because honestly, I see rules lawyers as backseat GMs, at least the worst of your rules lawyers. They're basically trying to GM over the top of whoever the game master or DM or whatever seat that person happens to hold. But yeah, you're right. Good points, though, Crim Fan. Very good. As always, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Crim Fan.
All right.
Theater of the mind, Crim Fan.
All right, Matt V comments in. Great point on the playtest. I think it's best if you have a finished product that you are sending out to playtest. That's what Paizo did. They even actually sold the playtest. Great monetization. So, as a quick aside, I can't believe anybody fucking paid money for that. I seriously can't.
I paid for that and the first one.
Did you pay for Pathfinder 2?
No, I didn't.
The hardcover for $50.
Was it that much?
That's not even the real book yet. Because, oh my God, it just blew my mind. I'm like, what? Anyway, just because Brett can't believe it doesn't mean other people think it was a great idea. It was just like, holy shit. It shocked me. It did. Anyway, so everyone would have a playable game pretty close to out the door, but the finalized product may take 6 months to a year. It should be very clearly communicated through absolutely, if that's what you're doing. Which, to be clear, and to give credit back, like just because Brett didn't understand what Paizo did, they were very clear saying, hey, this is a playtest. New things coming. If you buy this, it ain't going to be the second edition. It's not going to be the first edition. It's going to be the playtest version, right? So you bought it with very clear expectation that it was not the final game.
You could weigh in. You could weigh in,
right?
Yeah,
but you knew what you were getting into when you bought it, which is the whole piece that we talked about last time that Matt is bringing back up. So anyway, the problem with playtest feedback for RPGs is that they take forever to get back. I think that's a massive reason why high level / power with most games really fall apart. They never really got playtested very heavily. And playing a character too high level is much different than making a high level character. Unless you do some kind of tribe playtest, you're probably only playtesting 20 or so builds and likely not even at every level. That's pretty generous for most small publishers. I haven't read Tribes, but I've heard it recommended so many times before from different places. I guess I should. On Matt Martinez's point about on RPG campaign updates, Shadowrun has several missions written where you fail for doing something explicitly stated. I never consider that a design flaw. You did something dumb, you fail because of it. You should see it being more problematic in a D&D game or something where the players don't expect that outcome, but I've never seen it as an issue in Shadowrun. It makes perfect sense in the setting with what you're doing being Shadowrunners. Sometimes you may be able to betray the side you're supposed to work for, but if you can't stop the wipe in time, you won't even learn the other side. A lot of time there may be dire consequences for such a foolish action, like loss of the Johnson or the mob working against you. Of course, fail missions more often in Shadowrun compared to a game like D&D, where you actually only fail if you die. So I wonder if that affects the mentality. Matt, I think I disagree with you on that. So you can fail in D&D without dying. You're supposed to save the prince. You don't. You failed. You're supposed to, destroy the Lich. You don't. You failed. Call of Cthulhu's like that, or it can be too. I mean, you're supposed to do something, and if you don't, the Cthulhu rises. Really, the ocean thing pops up, and he destroys the world, and everybody's dead.
But is he talking? But is he talking about failure as in the Matt? What did Matt propose?
Matt asked about design.
You open the
flaw.
box.
Yeah, they fucked up a drive, wiped it, and therefore it says you failed. If the players disturb this thing in any way, that they wreck everything and they fail, basically, is what Matt had said was written into the adventure, and I think that's a fucked up design flaw. I don't care what genre it's for, it's a bad design flaw. If that's a thing the players do, right, I think the larger point is that if you design a thing and you specifically state, if they break this thing, they have lost. They break this thing, they fail, there's nothing else to do. Take the rest of these 500 pages and light them on fire. You can't play the rest of this adventure. That's a design flaw.
Well,
what you should
there isn't a win-lose in role-playing games, is my understanding. Otherwise, I'd be playing board games. Right? I mean, isn't that the deal?
Dunno.
I mean, one could say that the character succeeds in a particular fashion or fails in a particular fashion.
You get one chapter into the adventure, and then you failed. You can't go any further because
nothing happens. The whole world stops.
Yeah, because you crack the case. The adventure's gone.
It's done.
So, yeah, the adventure's over.
Well,
that's what Matt was saying.
That was what Matt was putting out. Yeah.
Was saying, look, if you
he actually sent me who that was.
If you design the thing and it specifically states, hey, if they do this, everything's over. You're building in you lose in a role-playing game, which to your point, Sean, is completely fucked up.
Yeah.
I would see saying, well, if the players do that, then they broke it, and here's what you're going to have to do to retrofit the rest of this adventure, because it kind of hinges on them not breaking it.
Right.
Or something. But anyway.
They still got to deliver it. The seal's broken. Why is the seal broken? Now you got to answer for why the seal's broken.
Yeah, something. I mean, it just feels odd to me. Yeah. Now, granted, that is not to say that Matt is wrong, dumb, stupid, bad gamer. If Matt looks at that and says, hey, man, that's Shadowrun, brother, that's just how it works.
Right.
That's my example about my buddy Lenny in Call of Cthulhu. He does not care if he fails the library use check, doesn't find the spell that takes Tsagwa and banishes him. And then at the time when the bad guys summon Tsagwa and he shows up and starts eating people, and they can't put him down because they don't have the spell that he failed to find 5 sessions ago. He's like, yep, that's Cthulhu. It's nihilism. It happens. We all die. Whatever. Not everybody likes that.
It's Cthulhu.
Yeah. But again, not everybody likes that.
Right. So
I get what Matt's saying, and I disagree, but that doesn't mean that what Matt's doing is wrong. And if his crew and he like that stuff, all for it, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, your turn.
Peter Skeins. Oh, excuse me. Peter Skeins on Zones. Zones. Hey guys, Conan 2D20, and I assume most Modifius 2D20 games use zones for action. Zones are not defined by size or distance generally, but by geographic limitations on terrain. Example from the book is rooms in a building would be different zones, and a couple that comes to mind would be PCs on a hilly rise would be in a different zone than the ones below, or ambushes in the forest are in a different zone from targets in the roadway, etc. Also, zones that are easier to move through will be larger than those comprised of difficult terrain. All this is from a quick read and playing one shot, so I may have it completely wrong. All the best, Peter.
That's good stuff, man. I think the more Peter and others have explained zones, I get it more now. It's just not something that I've not. If I've read it, I've not read it as such before. So anyway, this is good stuff.
I've played Star Trek Adventures. I mean, it was a few sessions, and zones only comes into play when it's appropriate. So I don't recall a lot of the nuances of zones.
I guess I've never had a game master state you're in the room zone, you're in the forest zone, you're in the hallway zone. I've never called
you're in the
them that
spin
way.
zone.
No, I've never had that. I've had you can't do that. They're in the hall, you're in the room. Oh, I have to go to the hall to engage the hallway stuff. Yes, you have to go to the hall to engage the hallway stuff. That's natural. I've done that in vampire games and D&D and other things. Like, no, theater of the mind. You can't interact with the people who are in, the priest's room if you happen to be in the foyer. You can't.
Right.
Because you're not in the same area. So I just have never called them zones. The more this description or definition hits me, the more I'm like, oh, I have done that stuff.
Was it meta?
Instinctively.
Isn't it meta, right?
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
Kind of cool, though. All right, who else have we got here? We got a voicemail from Kojo. He's back.
He's back.
Brett and Sean. Hey, it's Kojo. Hey, it was great seeing you guys at Gary Con. It was a blast. My son went for the first time. He's 13. He had a great time and gamed me under the table. Anyways, the episode you guys did on Do DMs Make Good Players was a great episode. I enjoyed it, as always. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know that for myself, as I am usually the game master, I would say 95% of the time, and if I do play, it's mostly just at cons. I can definitely tell you that I do not make a good player. I find that I get bored easily as a player, unless the GM is super engaging. I feel limited by what's on my character sheet. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense because I encourage my players to think outside the box and come up with crazy things to do with their characters, and they often do. But for some reason, I get in a situation I'm very much like thinking, I wish I could do more than this, or this. And, but then I find I'm not very creative at coming up with what those other things are to be. I don't know why there's a disconnect, because as a game master, I think I'm very creative and I'm very good at adjusting on the fly and I'm very good at thinking outside the box. So for some reason you put that character sheet in front of me and all of a sudden I feel like there's limitations on what I can do. And I just honestly don't know why that is, but your episode gave me a lot to think about. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Kojo has a lot of the same problems the rest of us have.
Give it up for Kojo for
Amen.
Yeah, self recognition, man.
It is interesting where I teach martial arts and I have for a couple decades now. And there's things I work with my students on, and I'm like, I'll be working a kick with them, and I'll look one of my students in the eye and say, I suck at this. And they look at me shocked. I'm like, no, this is a hard, very difficult kick. I do not do well with it. Allow me to demonstrate. There, see, I'm not very good at this. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I keep practicing. I keep trying. I'm not very good at it. So for some reason, I've been able to like click my brain in my martial arts world where I can teach and learn same time. It all works out. But for some reason, when I get the Game Master screen in front of me, and I step on the other side of the screen, you're like, oh, I feel so limited. Oh, geez. Oh, God, how come I'm this? Oh, how come? Well, there's nothing I can do. But like, what? If I was on the other side of the screen right now, I'd be like, no, Brett, come on. There's lots you can do. What would you like to do? I'd be like coaxing me or whatever. And then I don't know if it's, I don't know if I'm, what the total deal is, but no, good job on you, Kojo, for seeing it and whatnot. It's a skill. It's a totally different skill. And I think it's worth practicing and cultivating to become a better player, because good players are fucking awesome. you want good players at your table. If you could be both a good player and a good game master, man, that's like double threat, man. That's cool stuff.
That's what we call being self-aware.
Yeah, I think good player, good game master of equal levels. That's like pulling a Kelly. Not everybody can do that.
What?
I'm propping you up a little, man.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, man. Thanks, dude.
I was running you down off the mics earlier because I'm crabby and tired. I'm trying to make you feel better now.
Oh, okay. Starting to feel down now. I feel okay. I feel pretty good about myself now.
Feel pretty good now? All right.
Yeah, you should take some of this.
Shall we?
Our main topic.
You ready? All right. So I feel like shit, as I said. So I wanted to ask Sean this before when he announced it, and he posted on Twitter that he bought the books and whatever. So yeah. Sean's taking an interest in Call of Cthulhu. I'd like to believe that my running Trail of Cthulhu for him was a gateway into larger and greater things.
Totally.
Maybe I totally cracked open the third eye just a little bit, but the boys who ran him through, the whole team who ran him through the Gatsby and the Great Race, they pulled a whammy on him. I think he's got a insect of Shaggy in his skull at this point, so we're going to do a little trephination later. But anyway, Sean's getting into Call of Cthulhu. As a matter of fact, you bought the rules.
I did.
Have you started reading them yet?
I did.
So, Sean, what I wanted to do, Sean, was get you out of your it depends and see if we can find out.
But they fit so well.
I know they do. So what makes you, I mean, so I'm not looking for a pat on the back or anything like that. Obviously, I'm joking. But how experienced were you with Cthulhu stuff before this game, my game, and any con type events? Have you run it before or played it before?
Well, I have Trail of Cthulhu. I've had that before you even ran your game.
That's right, you did. Yeah, I remember that now. Yes, you have said that. I can't remember who ran it for you.
Nobody. You.
No, just me?
Yeah, I never ran. I've never been. Well,
I thought you had somebody. I thought you ran no.
Royce Thigpen from Gamehole Con. Mm-hmm. He's one of the Gamehole Con guys. Ran it at a role playing game day at a local game store. He ran Call of Cthulhu.
Were you involved in that?
I was, and I think that was maybe 6th edition. I definitely wasn't 7th. And I don't remember the adventure, but it was like maybe it was. I don't think it was even 4 hours.
Okay.
I don't recall. So that was kind of the little taste. I think that was like the very first time I'd ever played Call of Cthulhu.
So you were like in your 30s or 40s when that hit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was.
I'm saying it's recent. It's fairly recent in your.
Well, Gamehole Con is going on Gamehole Con 7, so it's been within the last 7 years.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
And then I got Trail of Cthulhu.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting that because of Brett was talking about book hounds. The gumshoe system intrigued me. Cthulhu intrigued me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought that. And then Brett ran the game you ran.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of it.
Huh. So I want to say this, but were you obviously aware of Call of Cthulhu as a role-playing game?
Oh.
Long before?
Yeah, it's funny because I was
I should clarify. I said that not to disparage your knowledge of games, but it's very interesting how sometimes we'll often say, well, obviously everybody knows about Space Master. And someone go, what's that?
Space Master.
Yeah, that's the space version of Rolemaster. No, you didn't know that?
I didn't know Space Master.
Not everybody knows this stuff. And it's not like good, bad, or indifferent, but depending what gaming circles you run in, you may not have known. So anyway.
I feel like I'm missing out. Where's Space Master?
You're not missing out. Anyway, carry on. So you were aware of it.
I was aware of it. I was growing up with it. And I might have known it tangentially. None of us played Call of Cthulhu growing up, not in our group. And then I don't know anybody else in town that played it. But even up to getting back. So I had a gap, right, in role-playing games for a while. And when I came back, we were playing 3.5, 3.0, 3.5. And even one of my friend's sons is playing that. He just turned, 23 or 24? Him and his, they were in like high school still, There, he said that, well, I can't play D&D with you guys because my friends are coming over and one of them's running Call of Cthulhu.
Okay.
And I kind of just, blew that off. That was before I'd ever played, even before Royce. And so I thought, that's weird. Those guys would rather play Call of Cthulhu than D&D? That's strange.
So did you know what Call of Cthulhu was as far as did you know it as a horror role-playing game? Did you know about the mythos? Did you know about H.P. Lovecraft? What did you know about the game?
I know that everybody dies and everybody goes insane.
Was that probably probably a turnoff?
It probably was to some degree. Like, wow, that doesn't seem very exciting. I mean, seriously.
It's goofy, but I have been at cons and game shops. Someone goes, I'll pick up Cthulhu. Yeah, I've heard about that game. And some snarky gamer will go, oh yeah, you just go crazy and die. That's what happens to everybody. And the gamer, you see the new budding gamer look at you like, oh, that's fucking stupid. And they go to slide it back, and I say, there's a lot more to it than that. Have you read horror stories and gaming? And do you know anything about H.P. Lovecraft? No. Well, here in the book, there's the free version of the Call of Cthulhu story, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that does sound interesting. It's investigative. You're trying to find something, save stuff. Oh, okay. And it is it's cliche for gamers to mockingly say you always go crazy and die. But it's not a really good way to bring people in.
No, it's not. Like, that's as many times as I've heard that, they should just put it on the front of the book.
Yeah, that's
Call of Cthulhu, lose your mind and die.
Yeah, race to the grave. Yeah.
Go crazy and die. How fun is that?
So that probably didn't draw you to it. So when you first played it with Royce and then with me, were you?
I'm gonna die and I'm gonna go insane.
Okay. Did you look at that like, foregone conclusion? I mean, did that? So I guess what part of when you played those couple times with Royce and then with me made you like it enough or get into it enough? What did you unearth about the game that made you think, oh, it's more than that, and it scratches a gaming itch that D&D doesn't for me?
Okay, I will answer that question, but hold on. There is one other time I played this game.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Gary Kahn.
Yeah.
Murder on the Love Boat.
Oh.
D20.
That was
D20 Call of Cthulhu.
Dead Game Society.
Yeah, because it was out of print.
Yeah.
Monty Cook did that one.
Yes, he did.
So I did play it then, but that was a mashup of the Love Boat and Call of Cthulhu.
Okay.
And then I think I played it again at Gary Kahn with Nightmare on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Same thing, D20 Call of Cthulhu with Michael.
I must admit those are probably a little campier, less serious.
Right, that's true. Well, kinda. Like, it got pretty gory for Sesame Street.
Yeah, but it's still fucking Sesame Street, dude.
Well, yes, you're right. But at the same time, Michael was like, look, if there was a kid at the table, he's like, this is not a kid game. And he would ask him to leave.
Fair, okay.
Yeah. But no, I see what you're saying. Yes, there is quite a bit of levity when you're talking about the Love Boat and Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another, I think that was it. I thought there was another one, but maybe not.
So you dabbled a bit.
So going to your question, what was it again? I should probably rewind it.
No, in short, what drew you back to it? Why are you was it the latest game you ran? Was it something like, oh, this offers an opportunity to do X that I can't get somewhere else, where it seems to focus on Y? And I'm not trying to lead you to do a thing, but what the hell is it about Call of Cthulhu where you're like, no, I want to play this game. I want to run this game. I want to own this game.
So the time because Royce and your games were a little bit different than like Michael's, obviously. So I really genuinely wanted to give Call of Cthulhu a fair shake. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to play D&D, I just go play D&D with the group that I'm already running for, right? It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
So when I go to a con, I want to play games I usually don't get the opportunity to play, typically.
Fair.
And so with that game day, I could have played Adventurers League or D&D, but I don't want to go to a game store.
I do that every day. Why would I do that now?
Exactly. So I went that route. And then with you decided, and I think it was kind of, we brought it up, or I brought it up and said, hey, I would really like to play that game because I have it. I haven't run it.
And we talked Gumshoe on the show before. So
yep.
Yeah, okay.
So those were really where it stemmed. And then that was kind of it until Gary Kahn 11 or whatever hell it is this past March.
So something there broke your mind, or made you realize something.
I think that in my experience, I think Call of Cthulhu leads itself to be more, because it isn't a tactical game, right? As much as like Pathfinder or some other ones.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not hack and slash, because typically, that's another thing that they should put under the subtitle is,
You
try combat and die or whatever.
Yeah, you could try to hack and slash your way through it. Good luck for that.
Right. And so I think it leads itself to a little bit more role playing, even if you're not fully immersive. Like the previous show we kind of mentioned, you can still play Call of Cthulhu without getting into character and different voices. You just don't have a choice other than to play out your character because you're taking on a different role. The classes are, how do you differentiate a dilettante with, an antique dealer, right?
You have an antique dealer who's a dilettante, and she moves in high society, and somewhere at the same party is a librarian,
right,
who happens to know somebody who blah, 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 and lo and behold, your great uncle's dead. You didn't even realize you're related, and you got to deal with this problem.
Right. So there isn't like, well, I'm fighter and they're a cleric, and we put our minds together and we go off an adventuring party and collect loot and build a kingdom or whatever it is putting forth in front of us. It's got that.
Well, depending on the problems at hand, and this is going to sound like, no, so I'll say this right now is yes, you can have these same experiences playing any number of games.
Yes.
Right. I'm talking specifically now about what Sean is feeling, what he's thinking about this game, and why he wants
Brett
it.
is going to tell you what I'm feeling.
No, I'm not. I want Sean to tell me this.
Oh, okay.
So the cool thing though is that you're right, in a D&D or a class-based game like that, where you say, hey, a fighter, a cleric, a mage, a thief walk into a bar, how they're gonna, the types of challenges you can expect and so forth. I think one of the things that's probably cool. I know it was for me anyway, coming to Cthulhu the first time from a gaming perspective, was the types of challenges were different.
Yes.
And because I couldn't say, well, I just pull up my sidearm and shoot the fucking zombie, I shoot the ghoul, I shoot the vampire, I shoot the star spawn, I shoot the, flaming whatever, and it doesn't do anything. Right? You're like, holy crap. And you see someone else get shot and you're like, wow, he's in the hospital for a month because he's shot or he's dead. Mortality is a big damn thing. It's dangerous and scary, and you don't want to get in those gunfights.
Right.
So I think it's cool to come to something like this, and it's going to be new.
Yes.
Which I think probably does that scratch the. I'm wondering if does this get to the whole wonderment thing that you and I have talked about in the past? Do you get to experience something new again?
Yeah. It not only is it wonderment, as in, oh, it's new and maybe a little more fresh. It's also WTF, right? Like, what is going on here?
It's Cthulhu.
It's Cthulhu. Yay. Random and, you're insane. Here, let me roll a percentile. Okay, this is what you do. And then you can also mess with the characters' minds, even as a game master. Mm-hmm. So you could say, hey, you hear this. Okay, great. I tell everybody. And then nobody else hears it. But you hear it. You hear it. It's there.
You're positive. There's rats skittering on the walls.
Yeah, yes. There's stuff climbing around, and you're like, there's something down the hallway. Well, you go down there. There's nothing there. You go around with your friend. You go down there alone. It's there. You go down with your friend. There's nothing there.
Yeah. Maddening.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like, oh, this is party of goblins. Got it. 1d6 damage. They're probably going to have 6 hit points. Yep. Their armor class is 12.
Yeah, a lot of the challenges are going to be different than that. And when you talk about role playing, it sounds like you're talking about not only just an opportunity to interact with NPCs, but also the player characters as well.
Yeah.
Because your character has a perspective and so forth, and to get the maximum fun out of this investigative scenario, you're going to want to play the dilettante to the hilt, or as close to the hilt as you can get it. Even if you're interviewing, a beat cop, or you're talking to the librarian, or you're doing whatever, you've got a little bit more. Okay. So you feel like it just for your bang for the buck, you feel like you'll get more role-playing opportunity out of it.
Yeah, I totally think so.
I mean, it is definitely, it's driven more toward, it's less combat-based, at least in my opinion. You know?
Yeah.
Are there,
there's a sense of mystery and a sense of unknown. So there is that piece itself is also refreshing.
Cool. Very cool.
Right. It's like watching The Thing. You might know what's going on, but it's still going on.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know this. We all could go crazy and die, but there's a chance we couldn't.
And somebody's going to be the creature.
Could be.
Not sure which one or why.
What was I going to say? So you played. So now I think it's often referred, or not often, but I'm seeing it referred to as classic Call of Cthulhu as editions 1 through 6, which for my money are pretty much the same damn game. There's not a whole lot of change to them. 7 is the most drastic departure. Did you pick 7 simply versus you have Trail and stuff? Did you pick 7 simply because it's the latest incarnation?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Well, I should say yes and yes. Yes, I did. And yes, because I had heard it's the best edition that's been out. Trail aside, but all the editions of Call of Cthulhu, my understanding from even folks that are Call of Cthulhu aficionados, I've heard say the changes that they made in 7th have made it the best iteration up to now.
The biggest complaints I've heard are the ability to the luck option and pushing dice and modifying things. Like my buddy Lenny's like, you made it wussy.
Well, I think
you should fail more often. But that goes to our earlier comment.
There was a couple that's like optional, and I can't remember if it's pushing.
Anyway,
yeah.
Okay. So are you what you've read so far? Do you like what you're reading? Does it seem to live up to what you'd hoped?
Yeah, for the most part. A lot of the rules don't come as a big surprise. It's not an overly complex system, in my opinion. I've had basic role playing. Like I have that. I used to have the yellow book. I can't remember if I gave that away or I sold it or what.
I think I still have my copy somewhere.
Yeah, I think I got rid of mine because I just was never going to use it. But I knew from just that book itself, I'm like, oh, it's all percentile and you roll under and then you click if you check it if you miss, and then you get a chance to update it. So some of the nuances, because most of the times that I've played are all usually one shots. Like I'm not leveling up all my tunes after it's done. So
that's another difference in Call of Cthulhu is the leveling up perspective doesn't happen the same. Right? I mean, it's not like a D20 game.
No.
Where you're a level 2 investigator, which is one of the things people, when D20 Call of Cthulhu came out, people railed against it in front of me anyway. How can you be a level 5 investigator? That's just fucking stupid. Rah, 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 rah. But you weren't leveled. You had 70%, 75%, 72%, 90% or whatever. But and it treats characters differently from that perspective, right? You're not waiting to level up and looking to maximize that character sheet type of thing.
Right.
You're looking to gain knowledge to hopefully either stave off insanity or gain just enough insanity. But whatever, you're trying to find something. And it's more about an accumulation of knowledge and what you can do with that knowledge than it is about getting the magic sword or getting an armor class bump or getting a new magic power or whatever it is, which can be kind of refreshing if that's a style of gaming you've been doing for a while. To step away from that, I could see this being refreshing too.
Yeah, I would not run Call of Cthulhu. I would like to run Masks. That's a no-brainer. That's on my to-buy list. Especially the one that just came out in 2018. The new. I'd like to get it the sleeved full edition.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to run it in person. There is like one I think that you can get some of the props or whatever, but I think it comes with the sleeved edition, all the handouts. But I would probably run that one full campaign. I don't know if I would do, what is it, Nightmare on the Orient Express or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, something, or even I know there's a few others.
Oh, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. I would like to do one campaign like that, like Masks, and then call it a day. Like I'm not looking to have one person play a character forever in every Call of Cthulhu game I ever run. Like it's a very set, defined story.
Yes.
Even if I ran one adventure, even if I ran like one simple module adventure, I would want it to be like then and done.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. I do that when I've run a campaign. It's like after the end of that campaign, those characters are retired.
Yeah.
And then when I come back to that setting, whether it's a different point in history or whenever I've come back to Trail of Cthulhu with my group, the characters that were in the Bookhounds game, they're in the world, but they don't play those characters anymore. Those characters are retired.
That's the way I would do it. Like I would use them as NPCs, maybe one who lasted and was the craziest sanity-wise. Well, they're off the deep end.
That's how you get your Henry Armitages and stuff in Miskatonic University. That's the guy who survived the Dunwich Horror.
Right.
And as the professor, he has seen a lot, and he's there now, and he knows a bunch of shit. You can take those characters, and Old Harvey and Lady Lily and Miss Mary. They've survived. The pack of 5 of them. There's only those 3 left. And they may even be the second or third character that player played, but those 2 ladies and that guy, those are the 3 that the new characters can go to ask questions of because they've seen something similar.
Right.
Which is kind of cool. You can build up your own kind of, what do I want to say, a black book of investigator names that people can look up periodically. So that's kind of cool. That's a good, I like doing it that way. I know some people don't do it that way, but that's my preferred method as well.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
So, do you have designs to run this soon, or?
Well, so the Tomb of Annihilation's still in play. The guys from in the Edge of the Empire weekend game, I'm not going to ditch them in that game. I mean, it's still starting out, and which reminds me, I got to put that out on a calendar. But I do have Doc's group that we meet every 2 weeks. I don't know.
You think
Jimmy will play anything, I think, pretty much. Josh is your typical kind of D&D guy. The only thing that I'm worried about with Josh is that I think it was him where he mentioned modern games don't necessarily appeal to him because he doesn't. Now I know Call of Cthulhu isn't necessarily modern, but it does take place in the 20s or 30s, or I mean, you could do Delta Green, even modern day. And I don't know if that world setting appeals to him specifically. Doc, I don't know if he would be interested or not. But I think it would be different enough where if I rolled out Masks, that it may be something, unless it's like, I don't want to do that genre.
Masks is big, dude. It's long. It's not like 2 sessions, 3 sessions, 5 sessions. It'll take you a year.
Right.
It's a big fucker.
Yeah, we play every 2 weeks for about 4 hours at a time. So that's the thing though. I mean, here we go. Like, buckle up. Here's the deal.
I think what you're doing there, that is key with a game like a Call of Cthulhu when it's a big switch, something that people haven't done before.
Right.
The first time I ran Dungeon Crawl Classics for my home group, they said, it's racist class, blah, 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 it's back me. I said, no, listen, this is how this works. I leveraged Alpha had also read the rules. We said, look, here's an example of how magic works. Here's an example of how combat works. Here's an example of criticals and fumbles. Oh, are you willing to sign up for this? Yes, we will try that. Yes, we understand what we're getting into. We'll go. Knocking down, because a couple of guys in the group had preconceived notions that were wrong for Dungeon Crawl Classics. They thought it would be X, and it is not
right
what they thought it was at all. It's something totally different. After they were done, one of those guys said, oh, that was cool. Not what I thought it would be at first, like you said, but hey, I had fun. Another gentleman said, not what I thought it would be, and I didn't enjoy it all that much. So if you run it again, count me out, blah, blah, blah. But I think for a departure, it's critical to tell your group and really set the expectation of what it is and explain it as you're talking about doing. I think that's critical.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've played Shadowrun, I've run Dungeon World, but it was only a couple of sessions. We have played 5e, Pathfinder, Star Trek Adventures, Did I miss anything? They have played Savage Worlds together, and Savage Rifts, and then
It's one of those games though where you don't necessarily aren't rolling tons and tons of dice, right? There's no combats, there's no fights, there's action. The action is different. It's the thrill of the chase for knowledge, which is it's not pulp Indiana Jones against Cthulhu. This is different type of thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any intention of reading any of the novels or short stories that Lovecraft wrote?
I have been inspired. Now I think I've had a Lovecraft collection that I picked up really cheap at Half Price Books, and I started reading one of the tales, and I can't remember which one it was.
There are some decent ones on Audible, iTunes, and so forth for audiobook wise that are not that expensive.
Well, they shouldn't be because they're
But I'm just saying, you can there's audio drama ones that people have done, which are kind of fun. I can't remember the name of that one group that did, but you pick some of the classic ones, Call of Cthulhu, Dunwich Horror, Rats and Walls, stuff like that. But that helps kind of get your brain wrapped around the mood.
Right.
So, cool.
Yeah, it has tweaked my interest into Lovecraft, sure.
So you're going to dump all the other games you have now, and you're just going to be a Call of Cthulhu guy for
I dumped off a bunch of stuff at Noble Knight.
Did you?
Yeah, the stuff that I had in my basement, and you guys came over.
Oh wow, you got
not all of it. I kept. Well, there was a couple tomes that I was going to sell on Google Plus, and then they were like Spirit of the Century is like going for $50 or something crazy.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, I'm not taking that or selling that. And then I think Star Trek by Unicorn Games was like really up there in the price, and I'm like, well, I'll hold on to those because I'll just sell them outright instead of taking
that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like Monster Manual 2, 3.
Well, yeah, I mean that's just it's like, look, I got some crap in my collection. You're gonna give me $1 for it or $10? It's better than nothing. 2
complete adventure paths from Pathfinder that were in pretty damn good condition. Pathfinder rulebook, Advanced Player's Guide. I think though it's like Paranoia, the newest one. They got a pretty good deal, I think.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, I got credit at Noble Knight now.
Cool.
So
well, man, I'll tell you, we don't have to drain this out much more. It's interesting. I think it's cool that you're interested in it, and it wasn't like shocking to me because you're a good gamer. You like lots of different things. We've talked about your collection, what you've gained within the past, but it's interesting sometimes to see why somebody likes something. And we often talk about what we don't like. I was drawn away from this game because I can't stand these rules. I can't stand counting by 4. I can't stand percentile dice. I can't stand, that's why I won't play a thing. But what's drawing you to it is interesting. One of the things I think is really cool is that you seeing it as opportunity for role playing and less fighty, punchy, stabby, more talky is kind of cool. I think I think it's a really good game to get that focus because it's critical to it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
The fall of Delta Green has not escaped my attention either.
Delta Green is a damn good. That's a good. I mean, if you want to ratchet up, you want to do investigation with a little more gunplay.
Yeah,
you go Delta Green. That's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. I think we're good.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's move on.
Yeah. All right. D-roll.
Yeah, I've just got my Streets of Avalon actual play out there just because I want to make sure that Judge Brandon has a link. So that's there. Sean, you got a couple.
So the first one I have, David Sumner. He hit us up on Facebook to let us know about his project, which is called rpgsmith.com. Check it out. It's free for one player. In short, he says it's a character generator, but there's a little bit more to it. There's a video on there you can take a look at. He has a Kickstarter to help raise funds for the GM campaign management side of the web software as a service piece, coming the 22nd of March 2019. So you'll have to check that out. Go there. There's a video. It'll show you kind of the lowdown of RPG Smith. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Neat.
We could all use good tools.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, web app RPG Encounters. So add or edit NPCs into encounters and then run your role-playing game. Wherever you go, you'll have encounters. So another tool for you to take a look at. I think that one's more 5e, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, we've talked about in the past, guys having boxes of 3.5 by 5 index cards and stuff. This is just an organized electronic version of that. Good to have.
Yeah. And then the last one, Moregrave Miscellany, launched on Drive-Thru RPG. This is by Keith Baker, Rudy Rutenberg. I think Sean Merwin in there? There's a few. Yeah. So if you go
Keith,
to
Rudy, Greg Marks, Sean Merwin, and Derek Neckerts.
Yeah. So that's an Eberron product that helps complement the Wayfinder's Guide that was launched. And so check that out. It's to breathe more life and lore into the campaign setting now released for play with 5th edition D&D. So I'm an Eberron fan.
Cool.
Yeah. There you can learn more about Eberron and Moregrave Miscellany.
Very neat.
Yeah, so that's it for this week, boys and goyles.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm going to go take a nap.
Well, one thing I would like to do.
Well, what is that, Sean?
I ran into my neighbor.
Did you?
Victor. Victor, my neighbor, Victor.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes.
So, I think I mentioned him on the show before. He is part of the
Empire of the Petal Throne.
He is, yes, the
M.A.R. Barker.
Yeah, there's some organization though. Like he's on the board.
Tucumel?
Yes, the Tucumel Society. That's what it is. So I think I want to talk to Victor about potentially being on the show, and since he can just walk across the street, I'd have to get like another microphone set up. But
I have your spare mic sitting on my desk right here. I could deliver it back to you.
I have a mic.
Okay.
But I'm missing a set of cans. I think you have my cans.
I have one, but I can get them back to you. Get you a spare set.
Yeah. So I was thinking about talking to Victor.
Cans are headphones, just so people know.
Yes, headphones, not actual cans. But I was thinking about talking to him about Empire of the Petal Throne.
That would be interesting because I know fuck all about Empire of the Petal Throne.
Neither do I.
And it's one of those pieces where people mention, go, wow, huh.
And some say
that's all about. And
I believe it came. Did it come out before D&D, like official D&D? I don't know.
I do not know.
There was something like that. Like M.A. Barker was, and I'm pretty sure Victor. He might have studied under him in college. So I think he knew him.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's a connection there. So I don't know if I can get that next week or not, but we shall. I'd like to put it on one of the to-do topics.
Cool. Yeah. Throw it out there. If you can make it happen, I'll be happy to talk to him.
All right.
Because that's one of those things like we said before when we talked about this one. I'm like, I don't know anything about that. I should know something about this. Is like I said, did you know about Call of Cthulhu before? Like, obviously. Did you know about Empire of the Petal Throne? Obviously. What's it about? I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know if I knew it before I met Victor, actually.
Excuse me. Yeah, I remember there's so many things I remember being aware of insofar as I saw the ads or placement or mention in a Dragon magazine back in the 80s or 90s about these types of things, these settings, these worlds or whatever, and I just never knew anything else about it.
It was self-published in 74, and TSR released it in a box set in 75.
Huh, cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
So.
Well, if we can't make that happen, we'll come up with something else.
There you go. Well, all right. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
Get better, Brett.
Thanks, Sean.
This episode of Gaming and BS brought to you with the help from the following BSers: Graham Minor, Corey Wynn, Andy Hall, Hawk Sparrow, Larry Hout, Mark Tasaka, Pure Mongrel, C.W. Mellencamp, Chris Steele, Ron Bishop, Thomas Hook, Wayne Humphrey, Craig, Brandon Barnes, Laramie Wall, Dan LaValle, Jason Hobbs, Sky, Roger Braslett, John Hammersley, Old School DM, Perry Besor, Michael Dinos, Jim Fitzpatrick, Christopher Gray, Bruce Cunnington, John Coward, Corey Gonzalez, Eileen Barnes, Robert Nemeth, Maurice, Niall Diamond, Angus, Howard Bishop, Stefan Dragonspawn, Mark Anthony Benedetti, Eric Salzwedel, Trevor Davis, The Closet Gamer, Jeff Goad, Aaron Coleman, Chad Glayman, Finolf, Merkel Froelich, Lord Tentacle, Joe Swick, Curtis Takahashi, Josh Wallace, Kevin Lovecraft, Andy Olson, and Tony Sugarloaf Baker. For ways to support the show, head over to gamingnbs.com/support-us. Thanks, BSers!
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.
Gaming.
A